Country Fellow Speaks here. Today I'm doing pallet number 1, which is going to be the first and second songs in my show, which will be God Bless the USA and Beautiful Things. So I want to show you which fireworks I'll be using for that. And then I will be doing a little bit of fusing just to show you how I do that. Note, I've got the tops cut off here, and again, my suggestion was from the previous video, cut it on 3 sides, not all 4 sides. You cut the tops just so that you don't have as big a mess. I cut it on 3 sides because usually when these go off, this will fold back or flop a little bit, and there's less confetti, while at the same time, you still have the top to protect the firework from any excess things, excess sparks falling, dew, settling in the evening or whatever. So I suggest cutting these on 3 sides so they flap open. Also, it's really nice because when you do, you can see the angles of these things and which way they're going to go. And you can also take a stick or something, which is what I always do, and I put it in these little angle tubes to make sure this angle tube is not going, this little angle tube is not going to crash into something beside it, because you don't want one of these shells bouncing off one of your cakes that are beside it. So I would put a little stick in here and check it. I've already checked these and they're going to be fine. I also cut the bottoms off of these cakes so that the glue sticks better instead of having the paper that's on the bottom of them. So I cut the glue off the bottom of them. Also, be cautious because sometimes when you cut the glue off, you can't glue to the clay because it's actually stuck inside. So make sure your glue is getting on these circular tubes here. And don't be greedy with your glue. Put enough to make sure these things stay on. So let's talk about the fireworks I'm going to be using. God Bless the USA. I'm going to start out with this American zipper here going off. And my crowd is going to be in this direction, believe it or not. Even though this says face towards the crowd, it won't really matter when it says that because this way and this way are basically the same thing. Now, if you rotate it 180 degrees, then you're going to have a problem because it's not going to face the direction you want. Also, I'm going to label my pallet so I know that this is pallet 1, so that I know which side is the front towards the crowd. But I'm going to start with American Zipper. While this is going off, I'm going to have Cuba Libre going off, and I'm going to have Just Hanging going off. Then we're going to go with a Pheasant Hunt. Then we're going to go over here to American Zipper with Color Storm going off at the same time. Notice how I spaced this and this. I used a stick to make sure I had enough room so that though this didn't collide onto the side of my Color Storm there. Then we're going to come back to this all-nighter. Then we're going to go to a Pheasant Hunt, over to a double Pheasant Hunt, into a Dragon Duel, and then we're going to go into a Pheasant Hunt with Eagle Pride here. Love this red, white, and blue effect. Then we're going, and this Pheasant Hunt's going to go off with this Eagle Pride. So I have high bursts with this Eagle Pride. I have low bursts with this Pheasant Hunt. I have 2 different effects going off. Shortly thereafter, I'm going to have a rodeo with a double rodeo and double cancer. 2 of these little cakes for the finale on this one song. The second song I'm going to do on pallet 1, decided to combine these, is Beautiful Things. So what I'm shooting with that would be the Pirate Captain, followed by Piranha Panic, followed by Mojo, followed by Cuba Libre, into this Pheasants of Flight. Beautiful, beautiful firework. Unfortunately, it's no longer being made. Followed by a white Wild Horses. Back over here into this Rock the Flow. Back over into this Warriors cake. This one is Mongol Warriors. And again, I'm going to close with a rodeo on this one. So I want to go ahead and show you some fusing things. So here is the fusing for Beautiful Things. And what I did was, as I've shown you in my other videos, is I take these songs and I write down the times that I'm interested in and what's happening during those times, a little summary. And then I write down and I can see, okay, from the time I fire off Cuba Libre and American Zipper, I want that to be doing during the first part of the song where it's kind of slow. Then when it goes into the lyrics, I would like this Just Hanging to have already started. So I said I needed 10 seconds between that. And then I want it Just Hanging goes for about 50 seconds. But actually here we go into I'm Proud to Be, which is a little bit faster, so I wanted more things happening. So while Just Hanging is finishing up and still going, Pheasant Hunt's going to start. So I did that at 37 seconds, and I timed this all the way down and found the fireworks I wanted. Watch my other video to see how I choose my fireworks. Then I decided, how long do I need the fuse to go between each cake? Well, here, if it was 10 seconds, I had to decide how much fuse I needed. So I decided to use the fat green fuse. When I did a fuse timing test, I found it burnt at 2.4 seconds per inch. So I took this 10 seconds here, I divided that by the 2.4, and I found I need 4 1/8 inches. Here I have 37 seconds. I divided that by the 2.4, and I got close to 15.5, and so that told me about what I needed to do with my fusing, so that I would know how to do that. And then I went ahead and took my fuse before I actually started fusing. I left a little bit of extra here on the end because you don't want your igniter connecting things that have multiple fuses together, because your igniter won't close closely. So I leave just a little bit, and then I have a little bit for the actual fuse. The top of the take goes to the bottom of the cake, so that's where I'm wanting the first one to go off here. And so this thing's going to trace all the way down, and this is going to fire off my first firework, which will be Pirate Captain. While Pirate Captain's going off, this fuse will go here. This will be at the base of Piranha Panic. And you can see I put little pieces of tape every time where I wanted that fuse to go. I did the same thing over here. I used this fat green fuse on the God Bless the USA. The one I showed you just a minute ago, I used the red fuse on Beautiful Things. And the reason I do different fuses is because if you use fuses with slower burn times, you have less fuse to worry about laying over itself, hanging off the side, causing snags, whatever. But sometimes you need longer fuse. Well, to get longer fuse, you're going to need something that burns a little bit faster. Because if it burns a little bit faster, you're going to have more inches, because you've got to consider those inches in there. So faster burn time on the fuse is going to give you more inches between the cakes, so that you have more room to navigate around the cakes, while at the same time not having too much that might lay on top of each other. So I want to go ahead and show you how I fuse these cakes and glue these cakes real quick. So I'm going to let my daughter try to film this for us. So first we're going to start with this Cuba Libre here. We want to go ahead and get that started. And so I know that I want this Cuba Libre and this American Zipper going off at the same time. So I'm going to take my zip tie here. I'm going to kind of cheat since it's one of the first ones, and I'm going to get it kind of tight before I even put it on there. So I've got my fuse, and by the way, as I showed you in the other videos, your lighting here, your igniter hits here, your flame is coming this way. So all your fuses should point this way, because you want the black powder end to be the first thing that it comes in contact with as your flame or your fire comes up through your fuse. So I want to put it this direction. So I want to put these two together because I want these to fire at the exact same time. However, I'm going to leave this little bit of extra fuse, as I said, and I considered that when I did my timing, because I want to have somewhere to put my igniter where I won't have any overlap. And I just pull this thing really tight here, and I've got them connected, so now these fuses are good. Also, what I like to do is I like to use 2 points of connection for my fuses. So I'm going to go ahead and put a second zip tie on there, just pull these fuses even closer. And in the weird case, like you see on this one, the Cuba Libre fuse was shorter than the American Zipper fuse. So I'm going to put one more on there to make sure both of the confuses have a good connection on where I actually want them to ignite. So I put that on there. And now this thing, these are connected. So now I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on here. So I'm going to take this American Zipper. I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to put a healthy portion of glue under there. Once I do, I like to move it around just a little bit so that it sticks a little bit better. I'm going to do the same thing with the Cuba Libre here. I'm going to put me a lot of glue in there to make sure it's good. Move it around a little bit, make sure it's secure. The next one we're going to do is this just hanging. We don't have a lot of room to get this thing going, but we're going to try to connect it so that the base of the firework is next to the top of the tape. Notice my fire comes in this direction, so I want my fuse going the opposite direction so that the black powder touches it. So I'm going to fuse this one like this. So we're going to take this, and you can see this gets a little tight, and you'll see why you might want to use faster fuse sometimes. It gives you more room to navigate around these things to so that you don't have your fingers all cramped trying to get these. And I'm going to pull this tight again so that the base of that firework is right at the top of that tape, which is where I want the thing to actually go off. Now notice, by the way, where my tape is not where I want my fuse to start igniting. I want it to be at the base there. Sure, this might go off a little faster, a little slower than you want, but it won't be that big a deal. But I've noticed that most of these fuses are quicker than these fuses. This is about a 3-second consumer fuse, and this is going to be a little bit quicker. And again, really can't get all these exactly right, but you know, we just do the best we can. I'm going to go ahead and fuse this one up. Again, trying to get 2 points of contact on my fuse there, making sure it's going the correct direction. Pull that real tight. And you'll notice here, sometimes you get a little kink. This thing bows up. That could stop your fuse from firing. So here, I'm going to put one extra zip tie on here to pull those two together. Sure, I've got 2 points of contact, but my reputation's on the line when this goes off. So I want to make sure that thing works. And let's go ahead and glue our just hanging down. Make sure we have plenty of glue under there. By the way, make sure your glue or your fuse doesn't fall into your glue, because that moisture could stop your firework from going off. And so now I have just hanging ready. The next one we're going to do is we're going to get this pheasants in flight. Luckily this time I have enough fuse for this pheasants in flight that I can actually not have to be cramped, and I pick this thing up. So once again, top of my tape onto the base of the firework. I'm going to take my zip tie, put it on here, get it kind of prepped, put it over my fuse, making sure my fire direction is coming in this way. My black powder is going to hit it. My zip tie goes to the top of the tape, as close to the firework as possible. And then we put one more for one extra point of contact. And I just keep doing this through the entire pallet till I've got them all fused up. Sure, I have a firing system, but I like to, my firing system doesn't have just a whole lot of cues on it. So fusing these together lets me have 7 songs worth of cues. I can use 2 more cues for my artillery racks. I can use 2 more cues for the Space Invader girandolas I'm going to shoot. And then I have extras for some of my finale cakes and etc. So this is Country Fellow Speaks. This is pallet number 1, which is going to be the first and second songs in my show. Next couple of days I will try to post or try to let you see my 5th and 6th song, which is going to be Kickstart My Heart and courtesy of the red, white, and blue. So I'll show you those pallets next time. I appreciate you tuning in. Please like, please comment if you have any questions or any suggestions for any other viewers. Put those in the comments so they can see those. And subscribe so that you can see my next pallet that I'm going to do, and so that you can see some of the other videos I'm going to put online. With that, have a great day. God bless.